I was the difficult one in my family for 27 years. Everyone agreed, including me. Then my 8-year-old niece said 4 words at a birthday dinner that unraveled the whole story. I went home and cried until 4 a.m., not because I was sad, but because I finally understood. This is the post I never thought I'd be brave enough to write. I want to start by saying I am not a dramatic person. I don't post on Reddit much, and I'm not someone who goes looking for trauma to dig up. But something happened 3 weeks ago at my sister Anata's house in Clarksburg, West Virginia, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. I've written this out 6 times. This is the version I'm actually posting. My name is Theodora. People have called me Teddy my whole life, and for my whole life, the story of Teddy and the Vane family has been pretty consistent. Teddy is the sensitive one. Teddy overreacts. Teddy takes things personally. Teddy cried at Renata's piano recital when she was 7 because Teddy couldn't play piano and felt left out. Teddy made Christmas 2009 weird by leaving the table during a joke she didn't find funny. Teddy has always been just a little too much. I believe this about myself. I want to be really clear about that because I think some of you are going to read this and say you should have known, and maybe you're right. But when a story gets told about you enough times, when it's told by your parents and your sister and your aunts and the family friends who've known you since you were in diapers, you just start to inhabit it. The story becomes the self. Teddy is difficult. Okay, that's just Teddy. My family isn't cruel. I want to say that too. My parents, Gerald and Marguerite Vane, are decent people. My dad worked maintenance at the regional hospital for 30 years. My mom ran a small alterations shop out of our garage on Birchwell Lane. They weren't neglectful. They didn't beat us. They came to school events and made dinner most nights and told us they loved us. But they had a way of making Renata the son of the family and me the weather. Occasionally pleasant, frequently inconvenient, something to be managed. Renata is 4 years older than me. She's beautiful in the way that gets noticed, tall, confident, the kind of person who tells a story at a party and the whole room swings toward her. She married a structural engineer named Clifton Beaupre, and they have 3 kids, Jonah, who is 12, Waverly, who is 8, and little Sasha, who just turned 5. They live in a big colonial on Ashford Court and host every holiday because their house is the biggest. I'm 27. I'm not married. I rent an apartment in Morgantown, work as a dental hygienist, and I drive the 45 minutes to Clarksburg for family stuff because that's what you do. I've spent years trying to be easier, quieter, less Teddy. I got pretty good at it. 3 weeks ago was my dad's 62nd birthday. We did a dinner at Renata's, pot roast, Gerald's favorite, green beans with those little almond slivers my mom does. Clifton's parents were there too, Dale and Francine Beaupre, who are perfectly nice but have a way of filling silence that can be exhausting. It was a full house. Everyone was in a good mood. At some point during dinner, my mom was telling a story, one of the old ones, the kind that get recycled, at every gathering. This one was about a camping trip we took to Seneca Rocks when I was about 11. We'd rented a small cabin, and on the second night there was a thunderstorm. According to my mom's version of the story, I had refused to sleep, kept waking everyone up, made the whole trip miserable because of the thunder. Teddy was just beside herself. My mom said, laughing the warm, fond laugh she uses for these stories. She was something else that trip. Everyone laughed. My dad laughed. Renata laughed. Dale and Francine laughed. I smiled because I always smile at these stories. I've made my peace with them. I'm the comedic footnote of the Vane family camping memoir. Then Waverly, 8 years old, sitting across from me with pot roast on her chin, looked up and said, completely matter-of-factly, but Aunt Teddy was scared. That was it. For words. She wasn't being profound. She wasn't making a point. She was just stating what seemed obvious to her, the way 8-year-olds do, without the social filter that teaches you to let things go. The table moved on almost immediately. My mom said something like, that's true. She was very scared. And the conversation drifted to something else. Clifton refilled the water glasses. Someone brought up Gerald's golf game. The moment lasted maybe 15 seconds. But I sat there and felt something come loose inside me, like a thread that had been pulled. But Aunt Teddy was scared. Not. Aunt Teddy was being dramatic. Not. Aunt Teddy ruined the trip. Aunt Teddy was scared, and that was a complete, sufficient, entirely reasonable explanation for everything. I didn't cry at dinner. I held it together through the birthday cake. White cake with lemon frosting, the candles, the singing. I helped clear the table. I hugged my dad. I said goodbye to everyone in the driveway, got in my car, and drove the 45 minutes back to Morgantown. I made it to my apartment, sat down on my kitchen floor, and fell apart. Here is what I think happened on that camping trip at Seneca Rocks, seeing it now through a different lens. I was 11 years old. There was a severe thunderstorm. I remember it being genuinely scary, the kind with sharp cracks of lightning that seemed close, the kind where you could hear trees moving. I was in a strange place, away from home, and I was frightened. So I did what a frightened child does. I sought comfort. I probably went to my parents' room. I probably cried. I probably wanted to be told it was okay. And what I absorbed from that experience, from the way it was handled and the way it was retold afterward, over and over at dinner tables and holiday gatherings for the next 16 years, was not, you were scared, and that was understandable. What I absorbed was, your fear was an imposition. Your fear was the problem. Your fear was inconvenient and excessive, and it made the trip hard for everyone, and it is a funny story now because it was so characteristically, frustratingly Teddy. A scared 11-year-old looking for comfort had been slowly, lovingly, entirely unintentionally rewritten into evidence of a character flaw. And I spent the next 16 years believing the rewrite. I lay on my kitchen floor for a while, and then I moved to the couch, and I let myself really think about it. All of it, in a way I never had before. Because Waverly's 4 words hadn't just cracked open the camping trip. They'd opened a door I hadn't known was there. Christmas, 2009. I was 13. My dad's brother, Uncle Prescott, made a joke about my weight at the dinner table. I don't remember the exact words, but I remember the shape of them. The kind of joke that's dressed up as teasing but lands somewhere that hurts. I got up from the table. I went to the bathroom, and I didn't come back for a while. Later that night, in the car on the way home, my mom said, "You made things awkward with Prescott. He was just joking around. You know how he is." Teddy made Christmas, 2009 weird. That's the story. But what actually happened was that a 13-year-old girl was mocked about her body at a table full of people who laughed, and when she removed herself from the situation, she was told her response was the problem. Renata's piano recital. I was 7. Renata was 11, and she was genuinely talented, and the recital was a big deal, and I was proud of her. I remember being proud of her. But I also remember feeling invisible that day in a way that was overwhelming for a 7-year-old. And I cried. And the way it got told, for 20 years, was, Teddy made Renata's recital about herself. Teddy was jealous. Teddy couldn't stand not being the center of attention. A 7-year-old who felt unseen cried, and got rewritten as a villain. I'm not saying my parents are monsters. I want to keep saying that because it's true and it matters to me. They are not monsters. They are people who had their own blind spots and their own fatigue and their own unconscious preferences, and who probably never once sat down and said, "Let's make Teddy feel like she's too much." But intention doesn't determine impact. You can wound someone completely by accident over and over again, and the wound is still a wound. I called my friend Brianna, say, at about midnight. Brianna has known me since we were in dental hygiene school together, and she is one of the few people I've told these things to over the years. Not the analysis, just the events, always framed through the official Vane family lens. I was being difficult, I'd say, or I overreacted, and Brianna, to her enormous credit, would always say something like, "I don't know, Teddy, it sounds like you were just a kid." I told her about Waverly. I told her about the floor. I told her about the door opening. She was quiet for a moment, and then she said, "Teddy, I've been waiting 6 years for you to say this out loud." I cried more after that, but differently. Less like drowning. More like being wrung out. I've been in therapy before, briefly, in my early 20s for anxiety. I always described myself to those therapists using the family language. I tend to overreact. I'm a bit too sensitive. I've always been the difficult one in my family. My therapist at the time would raise her eyebrows sometimes, but I was so committed to the narrative that I couldn't see what she was nudging me toward. I stopped going after 6 months because I felt like I wasn't getting anywhere. I made an appointment last week. New therapist. Her name is Dr. Portia Sen, and she works out of an office on High Street in Morgantown, and I spent the first session just telling her what I've written here. When I got to the Waverly part, she asked me what the 4 words had felt like in my body. I said it felt like something unhooking. She said that was a very good word for it. I don't have a tidy resolution. I haven't confronted my parents. I don't know if I will. I haven't called Renata. I haven't done anything dramatic. I've just been sitting with this new information about myself, which is, I was not a difficult child. I was a child who had feelings, and whose feelings were treated as liabilities instead of communications, and who eventually accepted that framing so thoroughly that she spent her entire adult life quietly apologizing for experiencing emotions. The most disorienting thing about realizing you've believed a lie about yourself is not the anger. It's the grief. You mourn the version of you that didn't know. I think about Waverly a lot. She's 8, and she looked at a family story that everyone else was laughing at, and she just named what she saw. Her aunt had been scared. It cost her nothing to say it. She didn't know she was rewriting 16 years of received family history. She was just being honest, the way kids are before they learn that some truths are too inconvenient to say out loud. I want to be more like Waverly when I grow up. If you made it this far, thank you. I don't really know what I'm looking for in posting this. Validation, maybe. Or just to have said it somewhere, it can't be laughed off. The Vane family version of Teddy is a funny story. This version, the real one, the one where she was just scared and just sad, and just 7 and just 13, and just human, that version deserves to exist somewhere too. She was scared. That was all. That was always all it was.